We are very, very quickly nearing February. What happens in February? Avatar: The Last Airbender live action. I'm very excited for it. We also literally just got new posters for all the main characters. For these, I'm not gonna lie, I have the same exact criticism I have for these that I did with the One Piece poster. It's a poster, so of course. To me, like to my eye, a bunch of them just look too oversaturated. Like the Sokka one is probably the one that is like the most clean, the more aesthetic, you know? The rest of these, they're just a bit too bombastic for me. I said the same exact thing for the One Piece one, so I'm consistent in this. I think I'm just not a big poster guy. I think the Aang one is like the most. It's just so in your face, so vibrant. Because like the original animation is comparatively like washed out colors, you know? It doesn't really have this bombastic. Even though it does have bombastic colors, they're just less vibrant, I guess. So that's neat. The Zuko one is also just menacing. But yeah, not much else to say on these. We are very, very quickly approaching February 22nd. I've said this many times. I'm gonna watch the whole thing in a single sitting. It's gonna be great. Much more importantly, though, a big news story. It will depict events never actually seen in the original series, says showrunner, right? Albert Kim. I haven't read this article. We're going to go through it together. What I think is it's talking about, almost certainly, is just the war with the actual Airnomads. We've already seen it. It isn't technically covered in the original animation, but I think that's probably what they're talking about. So let's see. So we know about that. Also about the lore. The more I listen to Braving the Elements, the podcast that they do, and when they sometimes have Mike and Brian on, I think there's a lot you could also glean from there. Because I would not be surprised at all if, I think I said this in one of the videos as well, I would not be surprised at all if the Siege on the North is changed a little bit, because apparently they weren't fans of how it turned out in the original. We'll see what happens. That is something to keep an eye on. They didn't give any specifics, just that, like, they didn't vibe with it for whatever reason. The original series never shows the Fire Nation attacking the Southern Air Temple, yes, and that's something we do in our vision, or in our version, yes, so that's exactly what I meant, right? I think this is an important detail. I think in the same way that showing Zoro slicing the dude in half was important, I think establishing the actual war will be very, very important. You know, because it was a children's series, right? Like, as much as we still talk about it, it was on Nickelodeon. It wasn't aimed at very mature audiences. So it's easy to forget that, you know, the Airnomads, it's kind of, not gonna say the word just in case YouTube, but you know. It was not good. It was not good. So I think this is a very, very good good decision. To, like, open up with the actual stakes of the story. Within the Avatar universe, said temple, only accessible via flying bison, during hero Aang's lifetime, was said to have been destroyed in an attack led by the Fire Nation Lord Sozin in Zero. Cartoon begins with Katara. So yeah, I think this is what it's going to be, basically. The very, very opening shot will probably be like a narration, in the same way we actually see from Katara. It's probably going to be narration overlaid. Maybe not even. Maybe it's going to be the war that then leads into narration, that then leads into a little bit of more war, and that then leads into how we actually know the story. Is how I sort of envision it. I do think it's a good call, though. Let's see if there are any more. Well, I mean, yeah, Azula is in it, so 100% there will be something from Book 2 as well. Because Azula only shows up at the very, very end of Book 1, and she's basically like a, but wait, there's more. You know, she's not actually in Book 1. During the interview, Kim goes on to reveal that antagonist Azula features much more heavily in the new series' first chapter than she did in the animations, since he and the writers had the advantage of knowing a lot of things that are ahead. Big W saying this. Big W. They are not replicating things for the sake of replicating things. They're like, wait. So, with Book 2, your story, like, became a lot more focused and a lot more linear. Why don't we do that right off the bat? You know, why don't we use hindsight? It's a beautiful thing. Very good call. We know how big a character Azula becomes in the series, so we had the benefit of hindsight in fleshing out her character and being able to tell a story with her in Season 1. Which, again, I think it's generally a good call. I kinda don't want her to be a constant, you know, because I think for Book 1, Zuko should be the constant. Because in Book 2, Zuko becomes, like, his own man for a little bit, you know? And then eventually Zuko again becomes an antagonist. In Book 1, I kind of want Azula to be... I don't even know. I want her to be in the background, but I don't want her to be like the core enemy, you know? Because I think that is what set Book 2 apart, and sort of what solidified everything in Book 2. That, like, Book 1 was more so about getting to the north, and then Book 2 is everything, you know, we get to the library and blah, blah, blah. So I think, like, Azula's role there should be much bigger, but in Book 1, she should be there, I think, but I want Zhao and I want Zuko to shine early on, is, I guess, the simplest way to put it. Because I think, like, mixing in 3 villains would be kind of odd. We'll see. Elsewhere, Kim explains that Netflix show will be less Adventure of the Week. Yes, we know this, which is a format the animated series used in the first season, and more of a serialized drama. To be fair, this still holds true even in Book 3. There are a lot of episodes in Book 3, which, if you really, really wanted to, you could call filler. You know, the forsaken word. This is fine, though. Like, I expected this. This is one thing that I definitely expected. I don't know what they're going to do with things like The Great Divide, the Fortune Teller, a lot of these episodes. That's, like, what I'm most worried about. You know, that they just remove them outright. Obviously, with things like The Great Divide, like the Fortune Teller, I think opinions there will be mixed, because, I mean, most people don't like The Great Divide, sure, but what about the Fortune Teller? You know? Obviously, the Blue Spirit, that's definitely going to be in there. What's another episode in Book 1 that's kind of less focused? The Earthbenders episode, that's important. I can't recall off the top of my head which one I would assume is probably going to get cut. So Winter Solstice is obviously going to be in. Omashu is 100% in. Kyoshi Island is definitely in. Yeah, to be fair, like The Great Divide, maybe that's why they were at the top of my mind, yeah. Like The Great Divide and the Fortune Teller are kind of like the only two that I think you could be comfortable cutting entirely and it wouldn't be a problem. Because you want Bato. I guess the waterbending scroll is another one. I guess that is another one. Because Jet, if they get to Book 2, they definitely want to have Jet. Jet is big. We want to have Jet to establish that madness in Book 2. Bato you want in. The Deserter you kind of want in. Probably for the White Lotus Easter eggs, to be fair. Yeah, there's only kind of like 3 episodes that they can comfortably cut, if you ask me. We all knew that there were things we wanted to change, but not for the sake of change. Another big brain statement. There had to be a reason for the change. As for what they changed exactly, Kim won't elaborate, but fortunately fans won't have to wait too long to find out. Yes. And I believe that is it. Yeah, so this right here, I think is very, very smart. All of this. I think this is genius. It just goes back to the whole establishing a vibe that I keep saying over and over and over, you know? That for me is like the biggest sticking point with live action shows. Because it's a suspension of disbelief question, right? When you're watching a cartoon, you don't really take these things that seriously, but when you're seeing it in live action, I feel like it needs to be there. They could jam a few episodes together like they did with One Piece? Probably, yeah, but like, I made a video on this a while back. I think it was like a year ago or something. It's been a long time. But like the point I raised there is, imagine jamming, like if we look at the episodes in order, right? Because that's what I thought as well. But technically, like episode 13 is the Blue Spirit, episode 14 is the Fortune Teller. Can you imagine jamming together the story of the Blue Spirit and the story of the Fortune Teller in a single episode? I don't think there is any way to bridge the gap in a single episode and make it make sense. I think that's why they're 24-minute standalone episodes. Realistically, it doesn't change anything, right? Like if you're binging it, they still come back to back. But I think like the pure form of them being in a single episode is just kind of odd, and I don't see them doing it. Functionally, it would be the same exact thing. Functionally, yes. But on like a conceptual level, I don't think they're going to do it. So that's like one I can see them cutting. Because the runtime is the same. The beautiful thing about Avatar is that it has fewer episodes than One Piece did. A lot fewer, by the way. A lot fewer. The runtime for this is exactly the same. Whereas with One Piece, it had to be, you know. With One Piece, it was ridiculous how fast they had to go. I also imagine that with Azula, you know what would be kind of neat? I think it'd be kind of interesting if Azula's story throughout Season 1 is just getting, like, Ty Lee and Mei on board. And then in Book 2, we actually meet them. I wouldn't even be against that. Maybe she has, like, a small... Because it wouldn't be a B plot. The B plot would be Zuko, right? So it'd be like a C plot. They should do a weekly release? I'm 99.9% sure they won't, but I agree with you. I think they should do 100% weekly. I think the binge model, like, destroys value for them. It hurts community engagement. It hurts like 100 different things. I am 100% with you, but they're not going to do that. I'm pretty sure like everywhere that's said is just like February 22nd. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. We know for sure that Azula is in book 1 and that they're basically going to do that. I was expecting something a bit more spicy from the title, you know? But no. No, we'll see. We'll see. I said this already. I think they're too vibrant. They're too colorful. Too colorful. Also, the funniest thing, master your element. And it's Sokka with a boomerang. They should do weekly releases for a lot of things, but Netflix doesn't do that anymore. That's how they killed JoJo Part 6. Exactly. Exactly. And JoJo Part 6 is the most beautiful example. JoJo Part 6, I mean, to be fair, JoJo Part 6 had, like, other problems than it being a binge model. I think a problem with JoJo Part 6 is that it wasn't a binge model. It was like a batch model, you know? And I feel like with that, it was even more all over the place. It was like, oh, Batch 2 dropped? Oh, I guess I'll watch that. And then like a year later, Batch 3 drops, and you're like, oh, Batch 3 dropped. I guess I'll watch that, you know? There was kind of like no urgency. But JoJo Fridays are dead. There are no more JoJo Fridays. If they do a freaking binge model for Steel Ball Run, I used to always link the study. You know how I always say the statements of a binge model hurts everything? There is actual evidence for this. There is a study done on like the recall and enjoyment of series. I used to always link the study in my videos because it was just like a ultimate no you're wrong statement from me. I need to find the link. There's an actual study about this. I didn't make this up, I promise. There's an actual study looking at how much of a certain something people recall and like how they rate their own enjoyment. So this is true from like an anecdotal sense, because I think, yes, like people just don't talk about binge things at all. Because like there's nothing to talk about. What are you going to talk about when you get the whole thing at once? I don't like it. Unfortunately though, I think you know, when Netflix is a licensor, like not a licensor, a distributor, then they tend to do weekly stuff. Because I assume they just don't have creative control. Like Delicious in Dungeon is coming out weekly. And I think that is like a big brain S tier decision. It's beautiful. It like brings all the Netflix positives of like their distribution platform. They always have the dub available right from the get-go and all that. But they don't force their own binge model on it. So it's like a win-win, basically. And if you ask me, that's what they should do for everything. I think they should totally drop the binge model for everything. Not just Avatar, everything. Because all of their shows would just be more enjoyable. For me personally. If the Avatar show is not as successful as One Piece, I think Netflix won't be enthusiastic to pick up an anime manga adaptation. I think with Avatar, we have a very good indication of how popular it will be. And that was what happened when it was put on Netflix, the original animation. I think with Avatar, there is a humongous sleeping majority waiting for new content. I think Avatar, like, if I use like an iceberg image, I think the tip of the iceberg is currently people talking about Avatar, and like the entire depth of the iceberg is how many people are actually interested in Avatar content. I think Avatar has a massive audience, so we'll see. We'll see. If the show is good, I don't see, like, Avatar is just too big of a name, honestly. I don't see Book 2 not happening. But again, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Based on everything I've seen thus far, based on everything even Albert Kim has said, based on what happened with One Piece, I genuinely feel optimistic about a live-action show, which to me is mind-boggling. But we've reached the point. We've reached the point. I think everything is in their favor. Because this is a very, very expensive show. Just like One Piece, this was, I believe, like 10-15 million per episode. This is an incredibly expensive show. So, you know. And don't forget that there are still Avatar Studios as well. So even if this flops, we have more Avatar coming. With One Piece, Netflix just discovered the infinite money glitch. Like an insane value creation tool for them. Honestly, with everything that happened with the Wit remake and with the original anime now coming to Netflix as well, I am almost confident in saying that we're also going to get a season 3 for the live action version. And I'm almost willing to say it's probably going to be a season 4 as well. Because at this point, it's basically a marketing tool. It's literally a roundabout marketing tool that generates value. One Piece on Netflix currently is like one of the greatest things that probably could have happened for the live action. It'll bring in insane value. If they can strike up a deal or something with the original Avatar series, that could probably be a big benefit as well. Because Avatar right now is on Paramount, right? Which is sad. It got taken off of Netflix, I believe. Not entirely sure. Might still be on, but I'm pretty sure it was taken off. But yes, we'll find out February 22nd. We're still expecting a new trailer, though. There should be a new trailer. The live-action curse has truly been broken. There was never a live-action curse. There were just bad shows. There was never a curse. It was just people who had no idea what they were doing.